Hi guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, we are going to be learning America the Beautiful. So this arrangement is going to be really great for the intermediate player because there's going to be two concepts that we're going to be focusing on that are going to help add feeling to your playing. The first concept is going to be rubato, which deals with tempo changes, and the second concept is dynamics, which deals with volume changes. So let's talk about rubato real quick. In a nutshell, it means that we don't have to strictly adhere to the tempo. We can microly sway either slower or faster at times. And what that does is it gives us a real natural feel. So think back to every time you've heard this song performed, it's usually played in a soulful and free-flowing manner. So that's something that we want to copy. We want this song to breathe and to kind of bleed emotion out of it. And the second concept that we're going to be focusing on is dynamics. So again, that implies volume changes. So some sections we may want to play a little bit more subtle, others we may want to play with more emphasis, or it could be little things like we want to accent a chord with a bigger hit just to create a nice change in the dynamic. So again, as we work through all this, we're going to be highlighting both of those areas throughout this lesson. So let's talk about this lesson real quick. So this lesson is part one, and in part one, we're going to be learning the first half of this song. If you guys want to learn the second half, we're going to be covering that in the part two lesson at rockclass101.com. So you can click this link right here to check out the entire lesson, or go to the site and do a search for America the Beautiful. On that page, you're also going to find the tabs that you can print off and follow along with, as well as access the on-screen tab viewer. Now, this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, watch the tabs scroll across in real time. You can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. All right, so let's go ahead and kick into this lesson. So the first thing I want to talk about is how we're going to be approaching learning it. So this song is only 16 bars in length. In this lesson, we're going to cover the first 8, but we're going to break that up in half. So we're going to be tackling 4 bars at a time. So think of the first 4 bars as the first section, the second 4 bars as the next section. Now for our right hand, we're going to be using a 3-finger approach for finger picking. So that means that the thumb gets string 4 and 3, index finger gets string 2, and your middle finger would get string 1. So it's going to make it a very efficient way to pick this song throughout. Now, the rhythms for this tune are really easy, and they're going to be easier too because we know all the words for it, and we've heard the song a million times. So that makes any tune easier to learn. So if you're really familiar with it, and a song like this, everybody knows. But we're going to be highlighting or calling out the rhythm as we play through it. So if you're new to counting rhythms, you may want to check out this lesson real quick before you move on with this tune. Now for this first section, these first 4 bars, we want to play with a softer dynamic. So we want to be more subtle on the attack of the chords and the finger picking. And then when we get to the next 4 bars, bars 5 through 8, we're going to be emphasizing some of the hits, and we're going to be playing with a little bit more oomph, a little bit more emphasis. So keep that in mind as you're learning this first 4 bars. So let me go ahead and play the pickup bar, which is 1 note, and the first bar, and then we'll break it down and learn it. So here's what it sounds like. Okay, so let's break that one down. So first off the bat, we're in the key of D, and you can probably already recognize that it's very similar to the stock, the basic D chord, with one difference. We're actually cutting one finger out. It's going to make it easier to play. So to form this easier version of D, take your middle finger, put it on the 2nd fret of string 3, your ring finger underneath it, 2nd fret of string 2. So we're ignoring string 4. So for the D, we have 2, 2, open A. So our pickup, again, is just 1 note. So before we strum this D chord, we're going to play the open A. That starts on beat 4. So if you want to have a count in to get you started on this tune, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're into bar 1. And bar 1 begins with a strum. So 3 down, we're just going to strum lightly. So think of those dynamics. So I can just use the nail of my index finger to strum down. And then we're going to come up and we're going to pick string 2 twice. And we can actually break away from this 3-finger approach, and we can use 2 fingers for these 2 notes. We can use the second and then the first finger. So I'm going alternating, ba, ba. So together you have strum, 2, 2. Okay? So this technique is known as piccato. It's used a lot in classical guitar playing. But what it does is it makes it more efficient instead of going strum, pluck, pluck with 1 finger. So a little bit easier to use 2 fingers, or more efficient. So together, guys, we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, strum, 2, 2. Now let's break that rhythm down. So we strum the D on beat 1, 1 and 2. It gets held for a dotted quarter. So you have 1 and 2. So your first hit of string 2 is on the end of 2, and the next hit is on beat 3. Okay, so you have 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, after that we're going to play the open A again on beat 4. Okay, so beat 3 and 4 are quarter notes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, strum, and 2, and 3, 4. Okay, so that's if you want to think of it as the rhythm, but you can also think of it just as the melody. Again, all of us are familiar with this tune, so it's very easy to get the rhythms right if you know the song by heart. But approach it with both ways. You always want to know what rhythm you're playing as well. So let's see if we can tackle the first bar and the pickup. So remember, we have open A, strum, string 2 twice, open A. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, strum, and 2, and 3, 4. Nice. So our next bar, we're going to continue with this softer hit. So all of my playing so far has just been nice and soft. So the next bar, we're kicking to a basic A chord, so just that stock A major chord. Now the rest of this bar is going to be the same rhythm as the first bar. So you have 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, so it's the same rhythm, just different notes that we're going to be playing. So if I don't call it out, it sounds like this, bar 2. Okay, so make the A chord, we're going to strum that, then we're going to play string 2 open twice, and then use that ring finger to play the second fret of string 2. Okay, so let's see if we can try that together. Remember, same rhythm, dotted quarter, eighth, then 2 quarters. Here we go. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Nice. Now let's see if we can backtrack. Let's do the pickup plus bar 1 and 2. And let's see if we can boost that tempo a little bit so we can hear that song better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Nice. So if I'm going too fast at all, you can use that little cog on the YouTube player to slow it down. I'll put a little picture right here with step-by-step directions so you can slow it to 75% and practice that way. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at bar 3 and 4. Let me go ahead and play bar 3, and then we're going to break it down, and we're going to talk a little bit about that rubato for this section. But here's what it sounds like. All right, so that's what it sounds like. And for this part, we can use a little bit of rubato. So here's a good rule of thumb. If you want to use rubato through this tune, which again is a tempo change, it means that we're going to not be tied to playing strictly on the beat. Right? If I was to sing this song strictly on the beat, it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. Da, dum, ba, 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 bum, ba, 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 da, 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 da. Right? It's very like robotic. It's very like rigid. If we use a little bit of rubato, we can sway a little bit. We can be a little behind the beat, or we could be a little in front of the beat. For this one, I think it's cooler to be a little bit behind the beat. And what it does is it gives it a real natural feel. So a good rule of thumb for playing this tune, if you want to try and practice and impose rubato, is to use it for bar 3 and 4. So remember how I said break this song into sections, 4-bar sections, bars 1 through 4? So you can use a little bit of rubato in the last 2 bars. And then when you learn bar 5 through 8, you could do the same, but do it for bar 7 and 8. So use it in the last 2 bars. And that's going to give it a nice natural kind of feel. So when we're playing these last couple bars, we can slow down a little bit. So let me play 1 through 4. You can hear that I'm going to just kind of be a little behind the beat for the last couple bars. Okay, so I went into the 5th bar right there, but I'm just a little micro, I like a hair a little bit behind, and that's just going to give it a little bit of a natural feel. So you don't have to be so rigid, right? We don't have to be right where it's perfectly on time. You can hear the difference quite clearly with that demonstration. All right, so let's learn bar number 3. So for this one, we're basically forming an E minor chord, so that stock staircase, but the only difference is get rid of the index finger. So we're going to strum 4 to 2. Okay, so we're going to strum 4 to 2, and then play the open A, and then after that, we're going to be adding that index finger to that 2nd fret, so then it becomes that staircase shape. And you're going to pluck string 3 and 1 together. Okay? So these first 3 hits, they're all quarter notes. We have 4 to 2, open A, pluck 3 and 1 together, but don't forget to add the index. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3. Now the last hit, a little tricky. We're going to lift up, we're going to put the middle finger on the 2nd fret of string 3, the ring finger on the 2nd fret of string 1, and we're going to pluck and slide up a whole step. So we're going from 2 to 4. Okay? So together you have 4 to 2, open A, 3 and 1 together, add the index, then double 2, slide to double 4. Okay, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4. But remember, if we want to put a little rubato, we don't have to be precisely on the beat. We can be a little behind the beat. So a little relaxed in our feel. So let's see if we can try that bar together. Here we go. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and a bit slower. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Now for the 4th bar, we're back to D, and we're just going to basically play a little variation on the 1st bar. So we're going to strum, hold it out for a beat and a half, and then on the end of 2, we're going to hit string 3 again. But this time around, we're going to follow that up by playing string 2 and 1 together. So you're going to pluck those 2 strings, and we can use a little staccato technique on this. So check out how this staccato works. I'm plucking string 2 and 1 together, and then I'm going to use the palm of my right hand to touch the strings right here over the sound hole, and it's going to mute them. So what that does is it gives it a very pop. It gives us that staccato. That's all staccato is. Instead of ringing the note out, sustaining it, we want it to be a quick duh, and then cut the note, mute it. So you can make the D chord and go ahead and just practice that. You can pluck string 2 and 1, and then use the palm of the right hand just to touch those 2 strings and cut it out. So you bop. And then the final note after that is going to be the open A. Okay, so this last bar, we have the same rhythm as the first 2, just different hits at the end. So we've got strum and 2 and 3, 4. But we want to have a little staccato on that 3rd beat, right? So again, you strum the D, so 1 and 2, then play the 3rd string, then pluck 2 and 1, do a staccato mute, and then open A. Okay, so by myself, then we'll try together. We have 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so you and I will try it together. Here we go. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Awesome. Now let's backtrack. Let's try 3 to 4. So starting on that E minor. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay. And then let's try 1 through 4 plus the pickup. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay, so keep in mind you can microly slow down a little bit on bar 3 and 4, kind of give you that bit of rubato, give it a nice little contrast. So far we've talked a bit about the dynamic. We want to play these first 4 bars with softer hits. These next 4 bars, 5 through 8, we're going to be playing with a little bit more emphasis. That's going to give it a nice distinction. It's going to help the piece build in momentum. Now, bars 5 through 8, let's go ahead and tackle that. Let me play bar 5 first, and there's something you'll notice about it, and that is that it's identical to bar 1, except with the dynamic that we're going to use. We're going to use a 4-finger strum roll. So let me go ahead and play it, and then we'll break it down and learn it. Okay, so that's what it sounds like. Basically, this 4-finger strum roll is a rasgueado, so something that's used in flamenco music. And basically it means that we're going to be using the nails of our 4 fingers. They're going to hit the strings in rapid succession, and that's going to create a big burst of sound. And it's going to help make this chord pop. That's the difference. So when you first played it in bar 1, we played just a simple 1-finger strum. This time we've got a brighter, bigger, fuller sound. So it's going to help make that dynamic stand out more. So bars 5 through 8, we want to play with more oomph, more emphasis. So make that D chord, and I want you just to practice. You're going to go pinky, ring, middle, index. And the overall goal is to get them to move in quick succession. So it takes a while. So you can practice with just a mute. You can practice just getting this movement of the right hand down. Start slow. You want to build independence in each finger. So pinky, ring, middle, first. So most of the time strumming has been in unison. So it may be a little hard at first, but stick with it. Just practice every day. When you pick up, you can take any chord and you can just practice the technique. So that is the first big difference we're hearing in dynamic. Bars 1 through 4 softer, bars 5 through 8 we're going to play more louder. So this bar is identical, so we don't have to learn anything. We're just going to play the rasgueado strum and then finish it up with the same hits as bar 1. So string 2 twice and then open A. So let's give it a shot. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. Awesome. Now for this next bar, we're going back to an A chord, but we're voicing it higher up the neck. So we're starting to incorporate movement into this arrangement now. So movement basically means that we're going to be using the span of the neck to create more momentum. So think of a story. When you read a story, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? That story continues to build as you're reading through it, right? Eventually it climaxes, and then it resolves, and story's over. Same thing with music. We want to take advantage of the neck to build the song and then to resolve. So if you go back and watch the performance, you notice how it builds up and it goes higher in pitch and then it eventually resolves. So same concept. So for this A in bar 6, we're going to use the ring finger for the 4th string, 6th fret, the index finger for the 4th fret of the 3rd string. We have an open 2nd and an open A. Okay, we're going to use that same technique, that strum technique, to accent this hit. And then we're going to follow it up with the same rhythm. So it's going to be string 2 twice. So we have 1, 2, and 3. After this, we can lift up. We're going to take that ring finger, put it on the 7th fret of string 1, and you're going to play that note. So you have 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, so real slow, let's try it together. Here we go, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. So when you move, you want to try and let that E string ring out a little bit, just so that you have some sustain going. And you can use the palm of your right hand when you lift up to try and mute these 4th and 3rd string. But if they ring out, it's not a big deal. Okay, let's try together. 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4. Okay, now let's backtrack. Let's try 5 and 6 together. Here we go. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. So one thing you probably want to practice is just that transition. So going from D to the higher voicing of A. And a great example of how you can practice that is put it into an exercise. So you, for example, you could strum on D. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you hold them out for a whole note. You just practice that transition. Remember, moving chords, we want to move in unison. So not ba, ba, but together. All 2 fingers move together in unison. That's the trick to getting chord changes down really quickly. All right, so let's take a look at bars 7 and 8. So things get a little bit harder here. It's a bit of a finger frenzy that's happening. So let me go ahead and play bar 7, and then we'll break it down and learn it. And this is all quarter notes for our rhythm. Actually, bars 7 and 8 are all quarter notes, so the rhythm is super straightforward. Here's what it sounds like. Okay, so let's break that one down. Now the first chord is actually really easy. We all know the G7 chord. So if you make the G7 and you move it up the neck, we're gonna move it up to 6, 5, 6. So we're ignoring string 4. Then when we move it up here, it becomes a B7. So if that blew your mind, like how does this shape move up the neck? Well, that's the caged method. So check out this lesson to learn about how you can use movable shapes to play chords up the neck. So with this chord intact, we can strum 3 down, and then we can use the pinky to play the 7th fret on string 1. Okay? So remember quarter notes, so we have 1, 2. Okay, after that we have a really tricky transition. So this transition is going to be into an E9 chord, so it's a dominant chord as well. So for this one, let's build it one at a time. So take your index finger, put it on the 8th fret of string 3, ring finger goes on the 10th fret of string 2, and your middle finger goes on the 9th fret of string 1. A really pretty sounding chord right here, but a tricky shape. Now, here's the thing with it though. It's really not that hard if you think of it this way. If you move that index finger up a half step, if it was 9, 10, 9, then we get that standard G chord shape, right? So literally all we're doing is we're taking that G chord shape and we're moving the index finger back a half step. That's it. So that's an easy way to memorize this shape. Okay? So again, we have ignoring string 4, 8, 10, 9. Okay, everything on fingertip. After we strum that chord, we're going to take this pinky and we're going to move it and play the 11th fret of string 3. So that's probably a really tricky note to hit. Okay, so that's on beat 4. So you have strum on beat 3, and then use pinky to play 11 on beat 4. So 11 on string 3. So all together, the movement looks like this, guys. We have that G7 shape, so we're going to strum, use the pinky to play 7 on string 1. After that, we're going up to this other dominant shape. We're going to strum, and then use the pinky to play 11 on string 3. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so again, you can use the same exercise that we did before to practice the chord transitions. So I would also encourage you to go back and practice bar 6 into bar 7 as well. So not only 7, the changes in 7, but also 6 to 7. All right, so let's go ahead and try 7 together. Here we go. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Now from here, you're going to lift that pinky up, lift the index finger up. We're going into bar 8. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift the middle finger up too. So we got all these 3 fingers moving up, or lifting up. And I'm going to slide that ring finger down a half step to the 9th fret, and then I'm going to add the index finger to 7 on string 1. Okay, this is going to be highlighting an A chord right here, and we're going to basically be walking down a melody on string 3 after. So let me go ahead and play this 8th bar real quick, and that'll give us context and we'll learn it. So quarter notes for everything. So again, you want to just practice that transition. So we had this shape, we lifted up these 3 fingers, everything but the ring, move the ring down a half step, so it's on 9 on string 2, add the index to 7 on string 1, that gives us this A chord. After that, we're going to use the middle finger, put it on 9 on string 3, so above the middle finger. You're going to play that note, and then move it down a half step to the 8th fret, play that note, and then play the open G. Okay, so you have pluck, 3, 3, string 4. Okay, so again, pluck, 9, 8, open G. So tricky because you've got some weird stretching going on with that middle finger, but a lot easier than the 7th bar, that's for sure. So let's try the 8th bar together. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So here we go. 3, 4, pluck, 3, 3, open G. Awesome. Now let's backtrack. Let's try 7 to 8 together. And again, for these last 2 bars, you can keep that rubato in mind, right? We can play a little bit slower. We can play a little bit behind the beat. So that is a great way to continue that natural flow. So here we go, 7 and 8 together. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now let's see if we can go 5 through 8. So we're emphasizing the first hit in bar 5, the first hit in bar 6. But for 7 and 8, we can go back to a little bit more of a quieter hit. So that's cool contrast and dynamics. So here we go, 5 through 8. 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now let's see if we can go 1 through 8. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you catch what I did? I didn't go to the higher voicing of A. So again, here's a cool point to, not again, but here's a cool point to point out. They're both very similar sounding, this higher voicing or this one. So if you don't like this voicing, you can just play the A down there and then jump up for the 7. So that's another option for you. So anyways, that's everything for the first 8 bars, guys. So some of the big takeaways that we talked about again were using a bit of rubato to slow down in bars 3 and 4 and 7 and 8, and dynamics. So when we played the second half, bars 5 through 8, we accented those first hits in bar 5 and 6 with the rasguiato, the 4-finger strum roll. And we also could play a little bit louder too to give us a contrast in sound. So all of this helps to make our playing sound a little bit more natural and give us more feeling. So we're not sounding so robotic, like we're just playing directly to the beat. So guys, that's everything for this lesson. We're going to pick up and we're going to learn the second half, bar 9 through 16 in part 2 at rockclass101.com. So you can click this link right here to check out the rest of the lesson. Don't forget that you can also get the tabs on that page that you can print off and follow along with and access that on-screen tab viewer, that really cool interactive tab player where you can highlight bars, loop sections, slow it down to any speed. Just a really, really, really great asset in learning this song that much easier. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you in part 2. Thanks.